Terrence Howard recently appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience, and the insanity of the whole interview is breaking the internet. People are torn between if he's a scientific genius or if what's happening is a manic episode in its clearest form. Which do you think it is, genius or insanity? In the interview, Terrence Howard spoke on a number of things, from the topic of time travel to a dissection of which elements on the periodic table are gay.
And they call that a bisexual tone.
One thing that he touched on that I think is pretty key is he describes how in his dreams as a kid, a being asked Terrence if he wanted anything in the world, what would it be? Terrence responded by saying he wanted to know how everything worked. He was then led into a mansion that was filled with different shapes, and from then on, when he was dreaming, he could go find that mansion which had all the knowledge, and he could use it. He says the proof can be found in the 97 patents that he has for his inventions. Now, some of these patents have been debunked. Some of them are just shapes, which I didn't even know you could patent. And then other ones are actually legit. Whether you think this is crazy or not, there is another inventor you may have heard of by the name of Nikola Tesla, who also got his knowledge from the spirit world. He's famed for being able to hold elaborate, complex electrical machines in his mind and build them without taking notes. According to Tesla, they were given to him fully formed. These inventions were just downloads from the universe. Now, Tesla was seen as a little crazy himself, but as the quote goes, there's a fine line between genius and insanity. In order to be in touch with that world and get the downloads, you have to be willing to lose your mind, or at least appear that you are, to outside observers. There's something about these downloads from the universe, though, whether you get them through dreams or spontaneous insights, and although not everyone will be the next Nikola Tesla, you can learn how to get them as well. The producer Rick Rubin states that if you have an idea that you're excited about but you don't bring it into life, it's not uncommon for that idea to find its voice through another maker. It's not that your idea was stolen, but that the idea's time has come.
Alright, play Off the Grid.
We off the grid, this for my kid. But when my
This idea's time has come part is so important. The universe wanted to see itself manifested through this idea. So it sends that manifested part down to a conduit, or you, who would bring it into this plane of reality. If you're the conduit, you receive that download, and you don't do anything with it, it'll find a new conduit. We have examples of this in many great pieces of art. It's not uncommon for people to create their masterwork, and when asked about their inspiration for it, they just said someone else did it. Macklemore, of Thrift Shop fame, said The Other Side, which is a very popular song of his, was written by God. The pen was just in his hand. In the novel The Alchemist, Santiago, while he was pursuing his treasure, met a girl and wanted to abandon his search for that actual treasure.
Ha! Gay!
He told the alchemist,
I found Fatima, and as far as I'm concerned, she's worth more than treasure.
The alchemist explains that if he decides to stay, around the second year of him staying with his wife, the omens will begin insisting that he goes on, and he'll begin to feel resentment for her for making him stop his quest once that honeymoon phase wears off. If he doesn't go for it, eventually the omens will abandon him and his treasure will remain buried forever. If you've made it this far and you're on board with this conduit, downloads from the universe, secret knowledge thing, the question is, how do we get these downloads so that we too can find ourselves rambling about bisexual elements on the Joe Rogan Experience? One way to be a conduit from the universe is imagine yourself as a hose. If you have kinks in the hose, the water can't come through. Same thing happens with you as a conduit. The more resistance you have, the harder it is for things to flow. You must have an openness and a willingness to receive any message, to see anything, acceptance of everything. Remain open and you will find yourself a good conduit, and don't let that go to waste once you start getting messages. Essentially for me, I got lucky because my dharma manifests as writing. So every day I sit down and I make sure to write for 60 minutes at least. I try to be a professional about this as I think of what Stephen Pressfield said in The War of Art. He said that an artist knows that by toiling beside the front door of technique, aka showing up every day, he leaves room for genius to enter by the back. I get in my writing as a non-negotiable each day, but beyond that, every time I get a message that feels like it comes from not me, a sudden flash of insight, a theory that just clicks, a dream, I always make sure to write it down before I forget it. I do this because I feel blessed and grateful that I get to be a conduit of the universe. If I'm getting messages from God, you'd better believe I would be stupid to say, oh yeah, I'll remember that. I'll get to it later. No, absolutely not. I don't want to lose my conduit privileges. As well, you can always ask for it. Before you go to bed each night, ask the universe to give you whatever message it wants to convey to you. And then don't let that go to waste. Write it down. Get out of the rat race mindset every now and then as well. It's hard to get downloads from the universe when you're running around or when you're in a constant state of survival. Even if you do have money struggles or if you're swamped with work, take some time away, not to think and not to force, and just allow whatever comes to come. Don't judge yourself if something comes or not. Just accept whatever it is. And then from there, it's practice. This is a muscle. Try to write down or record whatever it is that you think is potentially an insight. Sometimes they'll be your own thoughts. Sometimes they'll be stupid. A lot of the times they'll be stupid. Don't judge it though. Just continue. If you feel inclined to put something out, put it out into the world and don't worry on how it's perceived. All you're doing is flexing the universe manifestation muscle, trying to work on becoming a conduit. In time, you too may find yourself called an absolute insane person by your friends, family, and strangers on the internet.
Brassy girls everywhere, titty ass hands in the air, so party over here, shaking for the man of the year. Met man of the year, met man of the bounce. Brassy girls everywhere, titty ass hands in the air, so party over here, shaking for the man of the year. Met man of the year, met man of the